Babylon. For in 1 hour such great riches came to nothing. And every shipmaster, all who travel by ship, sailors, and as many as trade on the sea, stood at a distance, and cried out when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What is like this great city? And they threw dust on their heads, and cried out, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city in which all who had ships on the sea became rich by her wealth. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, O heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her. Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence the great city Babylon shall be thrown down, and shall not be found any more. Here we see a picture of Mystery Babylon in Revelation chapter 17 and 18. Many of the prophets have identified Mystery Babylon with the United States. I see a double reference here prophetically. There is also a time when there's going to arise a super church where there's basically a one world religion, and you'll see Judaism, Islam, and basically a form of Christianity coming together, and this will be the final one world religion where there's persecution of the saints. This will probably really arise after World War III, and the true Christians won't be part of this, and they'll be persecuted because they cannot be part of something like this at all. So we see Babylon in that sense coming together in a one world religion. But there's another sense that the prophets have all stated that Babylon here, Mystery Babylon, refers to the United States. And people like David Wilkerson have put this as well. Have stated this very clearly, and that the Lord has showed them this. They've written actually books on this. But while many in the United States know that they are living in Babylon, I want to just speak a little bit today that living in South Africa, here in the Eastern Cape in East London, that I too am living in Babylon. You see, a lot from the United States has come through to the other nations of this world, even to South Africa, even to East London. It's not only from Hollywood and what's coming from Hollywood, which has come to the world. And by the way, I do listen to some of the movies and that are on YouTube are good to watch. I don't discard everything. I don't throw everything out. There are many movies on YouTube, for example, with Israel, the formation of the nation, movies such as The Exodus. There's even documentaries on Operation Orchard, or the Sinai Commanders. There are many movies that it's well worth watching on YouTube. So when I speak of Hollywood in this sense, I mean, I speak in a general sense, but I'm not in a sense of just keeping away from all movies. You've got to remember that we keep our hearts in Jesus Christ, in His love, turn to Him, and sins, anything that cools your affection for Jesus Christ, that draws you away from Him. There's no hard and fast things. You do this, you're sinning. That's not what sin's about. Sin is anything that draws you away from Jesus Christ. And one has to be careful that you don't just see, as you watch any movie, then you're sinning. That is not true. And there are many things that I watch. For example, I was watching something with Iran to give a background of Iran and maybe the history with North and South Korea. And it all has prophetic implications. And I was actually at the moment just listening to something about St. Patrick in Ireland. And it just gives you a little bit about what happened there in history. So I do watch things, but generally with Babylon, Hollywood has come through from America and has polluted the world, the nations of the world. And there's more than that. It goes into the church as well. You find that there's a gospel from America. It's a lukewarm gospel. And the prosperity gospel, of course, is one major aspect of that. And that has come through to all the nations of this world. Even in the city I live, many of the churches, they embrace this word faith teaching, and where everything's a name it, claim it kind of gospel. And one of the largest churches here has got a reach footprint throughout Africa and the world. It's actually a television ministry. The head of this ministry is a follower of Kenneth Copeland. He even sometimes doesn't preach his own sermons. He actually preaches Kenneth Copeland's sermons. He sometimes takes his family to be on the land of the Copeland so that he can have the anointing that Copeland has, so that he can jet around the world. His wife says Kenneth Copeland's the closest person to God that she knows. We can go on, and you can see how closely the relationship is with the prosperity gospel message. And they're very influential in our city. And on radio stations, you'll find that Kenneth Copeland's teaching pops up everywhere. In other words, wherever he's got influence, and they've got influence in the city, they promote Kenneth Copeland, and you see the prosperity gospel everywhere. And it's not only with this ministry, but many other ministries around, right within the city in which I live here in the Eastern Cape in South Africa. So you see, I'm living in Babylon. It's the influence of America. The lukewarm gospel of America has come through right into my city. Of the whole of Africa, this is probably the mostly, you could say, I'm really living in the Babylon of Africa here in East London. And I'm just giving you a picture. So I deal with many ministries throughout the world, many nations, not only in Africa, India, Pakistan, even in Mauritius, Australia, more in the third world nations, but also a few ministries in the United States and Europe as well, and even in South Africa. So I deal with many nations that come to this ministry and come to this website. But I'm just giving you a picture of what it's like here in East London, South Africa. We also living in Babylon, and Babylon is here in our city. You could call it not East London, but the Babylon of Africa. And why am I speaking about Babylon today? And I think it relates to revival. After all, the name of this website is Revival Central. It's about also the final move of God, the final revival at the end of the age, just before the Lord returns. And how does it relate to Babylon? It's as Babylon falls, so revival breaks out. There's a relationship between the two. You see, Babylon will only, I'm speaking of the United States now, not the one world religion, which is later on, the one united church, which is more after World War III. This is before World War III and the time we're living now. And we're speaking more of the United States as being the mystery Babylon. But we see the judgment of the United States happens during World War III, when Russia invades the United States. That's the end of the United States. But that happens, you've got to remember the rapture's before that. So we won't see this end, because the Lord's coming for his people just before that. But we're living in the time of the great shaking. There will be a great shaking before the Lord's coming, before the rapture. And we will see certain judgments coming on America. In other words, Babylon will receive judgments. It won't be just one judgment, but a series of judgments on Babylon. And as these judgments start coming, you'll see revival breaking out. And revival and the judgments on Babylon are related. It's as Babylon's judged, so revival breaks out. And it doesn't only affect America, but it affects, for example, me living here in East London, or the Babylon of Africa. Because as Babylon falls, revival can break out. And it's almost like a stronghold, a religious stronghold in this area. And very little can be done unless there's a breakup of Babylon. And revival can't really break out unless there's a breakdown here in Babylon, because it's a stronghold actually of the enemy. And I'm just bringing forth today that it's not only you in the United States who are in Babylon. We here in Africa are also living in Babylon. And the scriptures speak of that the world will weep when Babylon falls. But it says the saints, the apostles, the holy apostles and prophets will rejoice. And why is that? It's because revival will be able to come forth as Babylon falls. Yes, I do understand when the United States falls, it will bring tribulation to the world, and it will bring us into the time of the last 7 years and the time of the Antichrist, and it will be hell on earth. So it will be very bad for us, but there's another sense that as Babylon falls, there will be revival breaking out, and there will be a move of God throughout the nations of this world as these judgments break forth. So today I'm just bringing forth a little about Babylon, and that I live in Babylon. I too live at Babylon. So you who are in the United States, don't feel so alone. We here in Africa are too living in Babylon. God bless. This is Derek from Revival Central, East London, South Africa.